Okay, yesterday you were asked to do these test one, the first 15 questions. Let's run through them, make sure you have them. And then we're going to do the Kaplan questions. For number one, how many of you answered 11, D? That is the correct answer. Now, how you figure it out is, okay, it says Samantha has 3 more cookies than Arthur. So, right there, you know that Samantha has 3 more than Arthur. So you could say that Arthur has 10, Samantha has 13. She's got 3 more than him. Then Arthur gives 4 of these cookies to Samantha. So now he has 6. And she has, what does she have? 17. How many more cookies does Samantha have than Arthur? What's the difference here? 11.
How did we get that she had? Like, what are those other cookies? No idea. She just made them up. Would it work if you had like?
Let's say.
Like,
It'll work with any.
oh, okay.
I tried it with 3 and 0 and I got messed up.
3 and 0.
Don't pick 0.
Yeah, well, just as long as, you've got to make sure that Arthur has enough cookies to give her. So if he has 0 cookies, how can you give her 4 cookies?
Good quote.
Okay, number 2. The daily totals of dinner customers served in the Little Chef restaurant last Tuesday through Sunday were 232, 263, 298, 472, 451, and 372. What was the average number of lunch customers? How do you do average?
Add
Add them up and divide, what'd you get?
K.
K is
Actually,
correct.
I got 33.5.
Round down.
Adrian has in his closet 5 striped shirts and 6 solid color shirts hanging. He's got to hurry up and get to his appointment. He's got 11 shirts. What's the probability that he picks a solid color shirt? Well, how many solid color shirts are there? There's 6. How many total are there? There's 11 shirts, so 6 out of 11. That would be E. Number 4. Which one? Number 4. 12 pencils cost $1.20 right now, but they're on sale for 25% off. So what are you going to pay if they're 25% off? You're going to pay 75%. So 75% of $1.20 is J 90 cents. Good job. Number 5. How many of you got this answer? What'd you get?
I got A.
I read
A.
but I got it.
Yeah.
A is the correct answer. Now, how do you do this? Well, they give you this digit, this decimal. And with this bar, it means that 5 of these digits are repeating. So this number is 0.68423, 68423, 68423, 68423. So 5 digits are repeating. Well, if we want to know what the 317th digit is, you're going to divide 5 into 317. Let's see what you get here. 5 goes into 31. We're going to say 6 times. You get 30. Subtract. And then 3. 5 times 3 is 15. We have a remainder of 2. So we went through this process 63 times, and the second digit will be the answer, 8. Because there's 5 digits are repeating. The next one, number 6. You're going to plug 11 in and find the absolute value of it. You get J, 2. For number 7, what I did was I canceled the 4s out, the 5s, I canceled the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, and then I said 2 goes into 10 5 times, 3 goes into 9 3 times. So what you have here is you've got a 1 on top, and you've got a 3, a 5, and 11 on the bottom. If you multiply them, you get 165. Did anyone do it that way?
Use a calculator? Did it slow you down?
And then you divide
Why
that.
slow you down?
Yeah.
I got
Yeah, but see how you can, see these 4s, they cancel. The 5s cancel, the 6s cancel, the 7s cancel, the 8s cancel. Looks like that's the easiest way to do that one. Number 8, what'd you get for that one? G. They're telling you here's a real number line, and the numbers increase in value from left to, if C is negative, well then B is also negative. It's bigger negative. G. Number 9. Marissa has flowers. She's got red, yellow, and pink in a ratio of 6 to 3 to 2 in that order. So 6 to 3 to 2. And there's 44 roses. So you write this equation out. 6x plus 3x plus 2x equals 44. You solve for x. X is 4. And so you do 4 times the pink one is the last one, the 2x. So 4 times 2 is 8.
See where you told me that you didn't like it.
I plugged in the wrong number, so this is 6.
How do you do it?
Yeah. I didn't get it.
Seven is.
Okay. Number 10. Charles Lindbergh's airplane was 27 feet 8 inches long, and it had a 46-foot wingspan. So if you're making a model and it's 1/15 of the size, and they want to know what the wingspan would be of the model, you're going to take that fraction of that wingspan. So 46 times 1/15. Now, you know you have a calculator. You can do this on a calculator, right? Who's got an Inspire with them? Try it on the Inspire. 46 times 1/15. Tell me what you get.
It says 46 on 15.
It says 46 over 15. And that, how do you change a improper to a mixed? 15 goes into 46 3 times with 1 left over. So it's H. Number 11. Delivery cost for Ocean Beach Hardware, it's increasing by 45% because the store moved further away from the warehouse. If it's $90, how much is it gonna be with that increase? So you do 90 times the 1, which is the $90 plus the 45% increase. So 90 times 1.45 is $130. Same thing. Same thing. You got the same answer, right?
Yeah.
Number 12 is a simple subtraction problem, and you want to collect like terms, that's J. Easy. Number 13, what are the next 3 numbers in the sequence? Well, what's happening is you're dividing these numbers by 2. Well, another way to say divide by 2 is multiply by a half, especially when you're dealing with fractions. We don't want to divide a fraction. We want to multiply by a fraction. So 25 fourths times 1/2, you multiply across and multiply down. So the next term in the sequence is 25 eighths. The only one that starts with 25 eighths is B. Number 14. For this one, I wish the Inspires would calculate the least common multiple of 3 numbers. It won't. I tried. It only will do 2. So what you have to do, one way of doing this is do multiples of 12. That means you're going to add by 12. Multiples of 16 and then multiples of 18. That's one way of doing it. The first number you reach will be 288. Another way to do this problem is you take 2 of these numbers at a time and multiply them together. You're going to divide that number, what you get, by the one number that you didn't multiply. The only number that goes into it evenly will be the least common multiple. So you multiply 12 and 16 together, you're going to get a number. You're going to multiply, take that number and divide it by 18. Then you do the next one, 16 and 18. Whatever you get, divide that by 12, because you didn't use a 12 here. And then the last two, 12 and 18, take that answer and divide by 16, you'll see that the answer is 2 degree. And the last one, number 15, you're taking negative 5c to the fourth and raising it to the third, so you have to cube both of these. Your answer is negative 125a to the 12. Okay, now, let's run through the Kaplan. Yeah, I'm video too, so. Number one, what are the properties of a 30, 60, 90 triangle? We just learned this. Very good. 1, 2, square. So if you have a 30-degree, 60, 90 triangle, you learn that the side opposite the 30 is 1. This is double, that side, and then square root of 3. Here, you have to leave your stuff though. Just take the desk out. So if you have a triangle, and I give you, let's say, this side, you'd be able to figure out the other sides, right? This is double, and then this would be 5 root 3. They're going to probably ask you something like that. Now, would you be able to, if I gave you the longer side, longer leg, would you be able to figure out the shorter leg and the hypotenuse? When you go from the longer leg to the shorter leg, you divide by the square root of 3. And then you multiply, double that side to get the hypotenuse. What are the properties of a 45, 45, 90? They are 1, 1, root 2. We just talked about this in class. What are your two special Pythagorean triples? You guys remember the ratios of them? One is 3, 4, 5. And the other one is 5, 12, 13. Number 4, what are the properties of similar triangles? Similar triangles have the same shape. Their angles are equal to each other. Corresponding angles are equal. And their sides are in proportion. So what we can do is if you were given one triangle and we're saying it's similar to another, you can find a missing side if they're in proportion. Area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. The triangle inequality theorem says that when you have a triangle, let's say you know the two of the sides, the other side must be bigger between the difference and the sum of those two sides. Okay? So you have a triangle that, I just made this up, 3 and 7. So this side must be bigger than 4 and less than 10. An isosceles triangle, ladies and gentlemen, you have three sides of a triangle. 2 of those sides will be equal, and their base angles will also be equal. In an equilateral triangle, all 3 sides are equal, all 3 angles are equal, and they would be 60 degrees for an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle, all 3 angles are equal and all 3 sides. And in an equilateral triangle, they're all 60 degrees. Tell me some characteristics of a square. Well, a square has 4 sides, they're all the same, angles are equal, and the perimeter is 4 times one of the sides, and the area is one of the sides squared. So there's some properties for you. For a rectangle, you have 2 opposite sides that are parallel. and they're equal, and their diagonals are the same, are equal to each other, and the area is length times width. Area is length times width, and the perimeter of a rectangle is twice the length plus twice the width. So their diagonals are equal to each other. The area is length times width, and the perimeter is twice the length plus twice the width. And you have opposite sides are equal to each other. We're going to do the next 10 right now as well. For a parallelogram, what could you tell me about a parallelogram? Opposite sides are congruent. You have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. And their consecutive angles add up to be 180. So these would be your consecutive angles. These two would add up to be 180. And the opposite angles are equal to each other. So these two would be equal to each other. These two would be equal to each other. How do you find the sum of the interior angles of any polygon? So like a hexagon, an octagon. You take the number of sides. So if it's an octagon, that means there's 8 sides. You subtract 2, and you multiply that number by 180. So take the number of sides, subtract 2, multiply that by 180. How do you convert a decimal to a fraction? Well, here's a decimal, 0.12. You put that number in the numerator over however many digits you have or how many zeros you have. So if I gave you the number 0.3, that would be 3/10. And then reduce it. Now on the Inspire, you can type that in and hit menu, number, and then convert it. It'll actually reduce it for you. That's what you want to always do, is reduce your fractions. Well, how do you convert a fraction to a decimal? You're going to divide the bottom into the top. So for example, if I gave you 3/5, how do you convert that to a decimal? 5 goes into 3.0 0.6 times. This is all stuff you learned in probably 4th grade, 5th grade. How do you compare two fractions, 2 or more? Well, there's a couple ways you could do this. You can convert them to have the same denominator. So 3/5 and 4/7, the common denominator would be over 35. You can convert them over to be in 35ths. Or you can convert them to decimals, convert 3/5 to a decimal and 4/7 to a decimal and see which one's bigger. Or the last way is, we talked about this yesterday, you can cross multiply. 3 times 7 is 21 and 5 times 4 is 20. The bigger number is the bigger fraction. So this would be bigger. 3/5 would be bigger. How do you find the reciprocal of a fraction? Reciprocal is when you flip the fraction. Inverse is when you switch x and y around. Opposite is when you change the sign. So reciprocal, you flip your fraction. So 3/5 would be 5/3. How do you convert an improper fraction to a mixed number? So for example, 8/3 is improper. You take the denominator, you divide it into the numerator. So 3 goes into 8 2 full times with 2 left over. So 2 is your numerator, 3 is your denominator. So can everyone convert from an improper to a mixed? Pretty easy. 3 goes into 8 2 times with 2 left over 3. How do you convert a mixed? You got to go the other way. Mixed to an improper. You multiply the denominator by the whole number and add the numerator. Put that over 3. How do you divide two fractions? Well, you always flip the second one and multiply. And how do you multiply fractions? You multiply across and down. Don't forget, when you're multiplying fractions, don't forget to cancel. Always do that. Like for example, here's one. 3/5 divided by 9 25ths. You flip 9/25, make it 25 nines, cancel. 3 goes into 9 3 times, 5 goes into 25 5 times, so, and then multiply across. That way you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're actually simplifying your answer as you're multiplying or dividing. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so for homework, you're gonna do the next set. I'm gonna give you the next set of 15 and the next 10 on Kaplan.